Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a very special episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Hello, it's the summertime. You didn't expect to hear my voice again for a few more weeks, but joining me to discuss all things summer transfer window, it's not Matt, because poor Matt's got to work. It's the partner in crime. It's Polynesian Dan.
Now then, how's it going?
Yeah, mate, I'm not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good. Have you missed football?
Yes and no. And I say yes and no because I do miss it because I enjoy the game. I'm not so much missing it because I do a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
Mate, what the hell are you doing? We're trying to record a podcast and you're like slamming around in your house.
I've got a dog, and the dog's decided to bring a stick in, and it keeps dropping it by my feet.
Well,
that's what I do with my summer, which is dog sit. Basically.
So you are missing football, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, this episode's right up my street.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is
when Matt couldn't do it. I jumped.
Well, me and you basically have this conversation countless times, regardless of a podcast, really, which is the squad building, the kind of who to sell, who to keep. So we're actually just putting it out there for the world for once. But
yeah,
it's
it's something that's been ingrained in me since I sort of started playing Championship Manager when I was about 10 years old.
Yeah.
Just that constant squad building, going through a list of players, who to sell, who to buy. I love it. Yeah, can't get enough of it.
Well, yeah, no, you're not wrong. So the show today, we got quite a packed amount of stuff we're going to try and ram in. Try and keep it to an hour, as we normally try. But I'm going to start with a little reminder to everyone. Two Tottenham Academy players, Dane Scarlett and Alfie Devine, are both currently playing for the England under-19s at the Euros. They are playing today in the semi-final against Italy. 4 p.m. kickoff. By the time people are listening to this, maybe you've missed it. But it is out there. If you catch it, I think you can hit the red button on BBC channels or find it on the iPlayer. But if you want to watch, they both started the tournament brilliantly. In the group stage, I think Scarlett's got 2 goals, 2 assists, and I think Devine's got 1 goal, 2 assists. So they both started very well. You actually caught some of it the other day, didn't you? Because I said in our group chat about it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If anybody wants to go on YouTube and watch that Devine goal as well.
Yeah.
It was Devine.
Yeah, pick that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Top corner. But no, yeah. It's fun watching the England youth teams, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because they play without fear. You can see it. It's a love for the game and just check us out. And also, I'll tell you the one thing it does do, which is frustrating, is you see that and you look at them play against their counterparts and you're kind of like, why is it at every youth level England are very, very good, very competitive. They win tournaments, World Cups, Euros, and yet when it gets to the senior game, they don't. The senior is like something changes. And there's loads of opinion on this and there's loads of conjecture and loads of thoughts. I put it down to the fact that you look at the under-19s tournament now, they're playing Italy today. I think a journalist pointed out 6 of the starting 11 for Italy are all playing in Serie A next season. None of the England squad have even played a Premier League, have played a full Premier League game. I think that's the difference.
No. What about when they get to a senior level, though, and they are actually playing in the sort of Premier League?
Yeah.
What's the excuse then?
I think the excuse then is your experience. I mean, the idea is basically, if you're playing first-team football at the highest level in your country at 18, 19 years old, by the time you're 23, 24, you've got 2-3 seasons of potentially European football as well under your belt. Whereas these players who have played for England under 18s, 19s, all these different levels are typically only playing minutes here, there and everywhere in the Premier League. I mean, it's an argument. Like I said, there's loads of factors to it, and you can point at sometimes the money in the Premier League, I think, is too much, too young for some people. But yeah, it's interesting, but it is fun to watch. Taking it back to just the fun part, the under-19s is a decent tournament. England versus Italy will be a good game. It is Tuesday the 28th as we record this, by the way, 28th of June. So it's 4 p.m. Tuesday 28th of June on the BBC Red Button or iPlayer. Around the world, I think you can find it. Simply look up the UEFA website. So if you're outside of the Eurozone, you can find it on there. But mate, we're going to dive into the summer business so far. Tottenham have made 3 signings. You have taken a look. You've put together a little bit of a bundle, a pack of information for us, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I say, unless listeners have been living under a rock, we've made 3 confirmed signings.
Yep.
Which is incredible. This isn't what Tottenham do.
Nope.
We don't sign players before pre-season. We don't get transfers out of the way. But I mean, maybe that's credit where it's due. Maybe that's what Paratishi's bringing to the table now.
I hope so.
Yeah. But 3 confirmed signings: Fraser Forster, Ivan Perisic, and Yves Bissouma. 2 free transfers, and Bissouma was a steal for about sort of £25 million plus add-ons.
Yeah.
Fraser Forster he's been signed to be our second choice goalkeeper. He's not going to dislodge Hugo Lloris anytime soon. So for that reason, he's not really an exciting signing. No. But he's an important one. I'm sure you'll agree there.
I do.
We need homegrown players.
Yeah.
We need experience for your second choice goalkeeper, and he's got that in abundance. I mean, he's 30 years old.
Sorry, mate. Say that again. Say that again. I lost you then. Say that again.
He's 34 years old.
Yep.
So he's played 450 professional matches.
Wow.
He's got 6 England caps.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, he was in the England squad as early as March this year. So he's still playing at sort of the top of his game, really. Last season he played 19 Premier League games.
Yep.
So yeah, the point I'm trying to make here is he's experienced, but he's still sort of playing at a top level. Yeah. I'd argue before we had obviously Joe Hart. Yeah. So it's a similar sort of signing to that. But Joe Hart had only played 3 Premier League games the season we signed him.
Yeah, he was basically third choice at Burnley at that point. Yeah.
A few things that I researched about Forster. He made his name at Celtic, obviously. We know that. He won the league 4 times, the Scottish Cup twice, the League Cup. But amazingly, I'd sort of forgotten this from my memory. Yeah. He played in the Champions League for Celtic against Barcelona, and they won 2-1 in 2012. Do you remember that game at all?
I remember the game. I wasn't aware Fraser Forster was the goalkeeper. I'd completely forgotten that.
Yeah. Bonus point, Sam, if you can remember who scored in that game. Former Tottenham player that scored.
Victor Wanyama.
Yeah, Victor Wanyama.
Yeah.
Mr. Spaghetti himself, yeah.
He was
there you go. So, yeah, absolutely. But hopefully Forster can be the same. I mean, he's got good pedigree, played in the top competitions, played in the Premier League. What more do you need from a second choice goalkeeper?
And that's the thing is we signed him on a free transfer, and there was a lot of talk about us being in for Sam Johnston, who both me and you said that'd be ideal. Perfect free transfer, Sam Johnston. the big difference is Sam Johnstone very much views himself right now as he wants to be the number one somewhere. He's 28, basically your prime for a goalkeeper, and he was offered a deal with another club which would make him the first choice goalkeeper. Tottenham are in a kind of a phase at the moment where they are looking for Lloris's long-term replacement. In fact, Hugo Lloris is even playing a big part in looking. This summer wasn't the summer for that. I think if it had been, maybe they'd have gone a bit harder for Johnson on the basis of, look, this season's a rotate with Hugo, next season it's you. But I think it made a lot more sense once it was abundantly clear that Johnstone was being offered first team football. We just went for Forster, hammer and nail, and got him. And one of the things about Forster at his age, and the fact, like you said, about the number of games he played for Southampton last season, he is used to now training in that way of being ready to come in at a moment's notice, keeping yourself fit even when you're not playing every week. And that, in a lot of ways, is a skill in itself. I remember reading Michel Vorm do an interview in the press, basically talking about towards the end of his career, like he realised, if you're not first choice anymore, you need to train like your first choice anyway, and that's kind of a mental battle anyway. And then he said once he realised it was time for him to go, was when he realised he couldn't do that anymore. Like even staying match fit for that was like too much. He was like, no, actually, I'm not contributing anymore. I'm not able to do that. It's time for me to hang it up. So I think Fraser Forster, like you just said then, is a good signing on that basis that he is very experienced and also is very self-aware of where he is and what he needs to do to keep himself ready. And we know, it was 3 seasons ago we started the season with Gazaniga in goal because both Worm and Hugo got injured in pre-season. So we know it can happen.
One of the biggest bonus points is the homegrown quota as well.
Absolutely,
Don't forget that. That is probably the key reason we've signed him.
It is, massively,
There's plenty of experienced keepers, but homegrown keeper is the number one that you need these days, and it ticks a box, doesn't it? For it Premier League, Champions League.
It enables more foreign player spots in the rest of the squad. So it was essential that we found someone who was homegrown to fit that spot. And I think in an ideal world they'll be targeting a homegrown keeper for the long-term replacement. But of course, as we all know, it's not an easy position to fill. Obviously, we made 2 other signings. Who do you want to talk about next?
Probably Perisic, because it's probably one that's not as familiar as the other players we've signed. But what a signing. Plenty of experience. He's been around the top teams for the last 10 years. He's 33 years old. He's played for Dortmund, Wolfsburg, Inter Milan and Bayern Munich. And he's pretty much won everything there is to win. Internationally, he was a key part of the Croatia team that got to the World Cup final. Obviously, they lost against Lloris's France. Do you remember the semi-final?
Yes. Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, well, the man that scored and assisted was none other than Perisic. He was actually man of the match that game. So,
you've just taken a lot of Tottenham fans who were very excited about his signing going, oh yeah, bastard!
Well, hopefully I can turn that back around.
Good.
Extremely versatile player. So plays up. He was younger, played predominantly on the wing, attacking midfield. He's played as a second striker. But more recently, he's played as a wing-back under Conte at Inter. He obviously won the league there, and that's the most likely position we'll see him play for Spurs. Versatility comes into it. I'm sure he'll get games in other positions as well, but I think predominantly we'll see him at left wing-back.
I think so.
I don't know about you, but have you seen some sort of mixed reaction from fans about signing him, a 33-year-old?
I did a little bit, but to be honest with you, Twitter could find the negativity in anything, so I tend to not not dwell too much on that. But yeah, the idea is it mostly came from other fans from other teams, like, oh, look at Tottenham making a signing of like a retiree. I gotta be honest with you, my opinion on that has shifted slightly in the last couple of years because I've seen like some of the older players come into the league. Chelsea signed a central defender whose name has just gone completely out of my head.
Thiago Silva.
Thank you. The guy was brilliant. Like every game I watched him in, I thought, wow, that's the difference between like young all over the place and then just someone who reads the game brilliantly. He's just, coasting around the pitch. He doesn't look like he's sprinting, but he just always seems to be there. And I also remember Tottenham years ago signing a guy called Noureddine Nabit, who was a serious.
That's a throwback, is that name? Yeah,
yeah.
That's a real throwback.
And he was brilliant. Like he was so much older than everyone else. He really didn't have pace at all, but he just read the game brilliantly. And I think what a lot of people, and possibly because of Championship Manager, Football Manager, FIFA, they assume a player's dead at 30. It's like 30 years old equals, oh, no, if you're not a goalkeeper, I don't want you in my squad at 30 or over. Oh, no, don't sign them. Reality.
Well, hopefully I can help. Hopefully I can help demyth that. Yeah.
Bring it.
I've gone full Matt stats on this.
Dan's
stats. I know. Whilst the cat's away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the stats don't really back up that Perisic is past his best. So last season he played 35 games.
Yep.
He scored 8 goals and 7 assists in Serie A.
Excellent.
And that's from left wing. That's from left wing back.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably touch on positions that need strengthening, that type of thing. But left wing back, we didn't get an awful lot of goals, assists from Sessegnon and Reguilon there. And hopefully, if you can bring that to the Premier League, absolutely bob on. But the other side of things, the injury record of Perisic is actually incredible.
Yeah.
And I know I'm tempting fate here.
Yeah. I'm currently cringing, but yeah.
Yeah, he's played obviously 14 years as a pro, and he's only missed 40 games.
I know.
So on average, it works out he misses 2.8 games a season. Yeah. So if you compare that to Eric Lamela, who sort of missed...
I knew that was who we were going to compare it to. Yeah.
Well, if you compare it to Lamela, he used to miss 40 games a season.
Yeah,
so...
still a hero of mine, but yes, you're absolutely right. Hey, you could compare it to Sessegnon right now. Sessegnon, he's had a hell of a run since signing for us and the season before. But it maybe being around a pro like that who is conditioned, trains a certain way, looks after himself a certain way, could be the making of Sessegnon.
Possibly. It's been the thing that we've labelled with Sessegnon for a while. Injury record's been terrible. But one final thing on Perisic though is you think 33 years old, his legs are gone type of thing. It's not been the case.
No.
If you think who's the fastest sort of player in the Premier League, immediately in my mind, that snaky guy, Kyle Walker, comes to mind. His top speed last season, 35 point something kilometres an hour.
Is that Kyle Walker?
That's Kyle Walker, yeah. Perisic, 33 point something.
Wow. Yeah.
Not a million miles away,
No,
so I'm happy with the signing because
me too.
I think obviously Conte wanted him. He's signing people that he can depend on.
Yeah.
And I think Perisic, obviously, with that sort of record and his history and what he's won before, these are the sort of players Conte wants. Get him in, absolutely.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And the final signing that is confirmed as of today is Yves Bissouma from Brighton. There's one thing I want to say about it before you go into the footballing side. The guy is currently on a police caution under investigation for an assault in a nightclub involving a woman and one other guy who's one of his friends. Because of that, I said when we were linked to him in January, I really didn't want to be signing a player like this. You know, with that hanging over him, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. I don't like that. One or two people who have got good contacts with the club have said to me that the club obviously took that into consideration, looked into it, and are actually confident not only is legally he's got no case to answer, he actually genuinely doesn't have a case to answer. Now, the reason why I say that in two different ways is because we all know the law and what actually happened can sometimes be two different things. But the club are confident from their own investigations and their own research that the accusations against him aren't anything. If anything, his friend is the one who has a case to answer. So I wanted to clear that up because I was very against signing him based purely on that. So if we were to go into just purely football now, focusing purely on the footballing ability, I think he is the Dembele replacement that I thought Ndombele was going to be. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we actually looked at Bazuma when he was playing in France,
Yeah.
and you know, us fans, we all label the same thing at Spurs, which is we always seem to buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably available for about 10, 15 mil at the time. We ended up splashing about 60 mil on Ndombele.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, that's aged like milk.
Yeah.
But we looked at him again in January, but we couldn't get the deal done. You've just sort of mentioned that. And then what? And towards the end of this season, when we looked like Champions League was a surefire thing, all we needed to do was beat Brighton.
Yeah.
He went and put a masterclass in against us.
He did. Really did.
Absolutely ran the show. You know, he showcased everything that he's good at in that game. You know, sort of breaking up opposition play, releasing the ball, receiving it, holding it, shielding it, protection for the defence, basically. And he was absolutely brilliant. And I think Conte probably looked at that game and said, "Get me that player."
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I imagine the players came off the park and went, "Who the was that guy?" Yeah, you can actually find that. There's a load of YouTube analysis clips of that game, and a lot of Tottenham fans have basically gone back over it and gone, "Oh wow, yeah, that was," you know, I'd suppress that from my memory, but yeah, he ran the show, and as I said, it was Dembele-esque. Like, we couldn't get him off the ball, which is such a powerful thing in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, he's been probably one of the most consistent players in that position for the last few seasons. And there's been an awful lot of other clubs that were linked with him. You know, you like to see sort of Liverpool's and things like that were linked with him. So I think it's a real coup. I think it is a good signing. Obviously, this cloud over his head, you know, that will come out in a wash kind of thing.
It will, and I mean, my hope is that the club have genuinely done the work they say they have, because if it comes out anything other than he really had no case to answer, he had nothing to do with it, then I'm going to be really disappointed.
But, well, you know, you can't be a top four club, one of the best in the world, and not do due diligence on players.
Well, yeah, I mean, I very much, I'm with you on that. I'm just saying that it would be very, very disappointing if the club have signed someone knowing that, if that makes sense. I mean, I have to believe what I'm told. I have to believe that they've really looked at it and it's all nothing to answer. But footballing wise, like I said, he adds something to our team which, if you look at the way Conte played last season, you've basically got two midfielders there. So you've now got Højbjerg, Oliver Skip, Bentancur, and Bissouma. I mean, the options there are phenomenal, really, going into next season.
What do you think the preferred setup would be?
I think he has his preferred formation where he uses the two. I think there could be occasions in different games where maybe even three of them go in there. Bissouma playing more box to box, but who that actually is. It was interesting. Antonio Conte said something in an interview about big clubs don't have first 11s; they have squads, and it's something I genuinely myself am struggling to transition into with my thinking. Because I still think of, I name my strongest team. I think to myself, okay, who's our strongest 11 there? And his point is, when you play Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League, you have a squad. So I need to turn around to my players and go, right, we're playing Southampton at home Saturday. We're playing Inter Milan, for example, away on Wednesday. You're playing Saturday, you're playing Wednesday. Whichever one of you lot played the best or whatever, they play Sunday. It just kind of, you need to create not a them and us scenario. I think too many coaches over time create a sort of A team and a B team philosophy. And I think if you can get the balance right where players all feel like they're in there and they're fighting and they're in the team on the merit and other people are pushing them all the time, and you develop a kind of mentality of a squad. This is what it's about. It's not about you. It's not about a first 11. It's about all of us. If you can create that, I think is when you can really kick on. Of course, it remains to be seen if you can create that. I don't know, but with those four players, the idea that only two of them are going to start, I have to think, especially when you look at Højbjerg. Højbjerg is a good player for Tottenham, but he went through a period last season where he looked tired. Didn't track runners. I mean, it drove me insane. It was absolutely bonkers. But when we switched to only one game a week, the guy looked great again. And I don't think that's a coincidence, is it? He clearly, if you're going to play 50-odd games in a season, which Højbjerg was, I think he in the 2 seasons he's been with us, I think he's missed one game, which is nuts. Yeah. You need to be able to rotate him to protect him, but also protect the team. Højbjerg plays 3 to 4 games on the banks and plays really well, and then Bissouma comes in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's fantastic. That's what you want. That's what you want in your squad options. Because you want them all to look at it. Sorry, go on.
You touched on it a moment ago, and you said we got really good results when we had one game a week.
Yeah.
When we had 2-3 games kind of thing, we really struggled. Yeah. So squad rotation is going to have to come into it. Yeah. But it brings me on to a second point, which is how much of a priority is the Champions League to Conte? Because historically in Europe, he hadn't done so well.
No, historically, he really doesn't seem to overly give a crap about Europe. And I think there's one or two things in that. I think one, he, as a coach, wants almost one game a week. I think having a second game in a week annoys him because he doesn't have as much time to prep. Because he's a very details guy. But at the same time, I also think he's about trophies. He's about winning things. And to him, in his mind, winning the Premier League with Tottenham would sit on his CV, massively. The guy's got an ego. He is a very more modern, obviously, but he is a very much like a Jose in that way. I am here, I have won this with this club, I have won this with this club. It's about him. And with Tottenham, I think he would look at that and go, right, so I took Tottenham from not winning the league since 1968 to winning the league with me. Boom, mic drop, I'm out. Give me whatever job I want next with double my salary because look what I just did. I think that's how he works, and I don't think the glory of Tottenham making it through to the Champions League would necessarily mean that much to him if he had the opportunity to win something domestically. The thing is with English football, though, is winning the Premier League is an absolute crapshoot. I mean, you look at the teams that are there. Man City currently selling off a few players, but have signed Haaland. I mean, I have no idea how that guy's going to hit the ground in the Premier League. Of course I don't, but my fear is he's going to be bloody good. Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liverpool look as strong, and they're going to continue. Man United, I have to believe, are going to be better than they were last season. Chelsea, it's going to be without the off-field thing hanging over them. They're going to improve again. Arsenal are going to improve. We're obviously looking to improve. So, actually winning the Premier League, I think, is a nightmare scenario compared to almost every other league in Europe. I mean, you look at the teams and you probably say, oh, Man City. But in English Premier League, you can't say that with any certainty. If I was to look at Bundesliga, I'd say Bayern Munich and feel pretty confident. Spain, sure. You'd feel pretty confident picking Real Madrid at the moment. But, I mean, obviously there are others, but you'd still feel confident there. So, yeah, it's difficult. Paris Saint-Germain in France might win it. You never know. Like I said, it's going to be difficult. But I think with him, his priority is winning something, whatever route that takes. I think if he gets to Christmas and there's no way we're winning the league, then all of a sudden perhaps the Cups might suddenly get the strongest team you've ever seen. But I don't know. It's difficult because it's going to be our first full season with him. He's got the pre-season. Based on everything that I've read, his pre-season is going to rival that of Pochettino's in terms of fitness work. There's going to be a few players at Tottenham, ow, why am I doing this to myself? But at the same time, you only got to look at Harry Kane talking in an interview about how he feels the fittest he's felt in 2 to 3 years, which I can well believe. And he looks it as well, actually, Harry. Towards the end of last season, he looked leaner than he had in a good few years. It's just amazing what cutting out ketchup can do.
The old ketchup bands, yeah. But also, you got to remember we went through that period under Jose where, rumours were flying that they weren't doing enough fitness work. Players were doing work on their own back, that type of thing.
Yeah, it was a mess.
They looked it on the pitch as well. Remember how sort of slow we were?
Yeah, sluggish, moving the ball was poor. The thing is about fitness as well, is what a lot of people don't realise, and especially at elite level you see it, the difference, is you being fit allows you to think clearer as well, because you're not blowing out your ass. If you're not having to catch your breath when you're doing stuff because you're near death from running somewhere, your head's clearer. You can pick a pass, you can think about the situation in the game, you can make better decisions. So being fitter allows all of that to happen. The Jose thing is he's a throwback in the sense of he looked at all of those players and went, being fit is your responsibility. You get paid all this money. I'm here to coach you how to win football matches. I'm not here to coach you how to be fit. That should be the bare minimum you bring to this arrangement. In years gone by, completely understand where he's coming from. Unfortunately, I think the modern footballer, in some ways, is overcoached, but that's the way it is now. And the modern footballer needs a coach to go, run over there, okay, run back, okay. That just seems to be the way it is now. And Jose didn't do that, and of course, we also know that other guy didn't do it.
We don't talk about him.
We don't talk about no. We don't talk about no.
Anyone who thought I'd have that done and only use it once was a fool. It's staying forever. It's time to talk about rumours then. It's time to sort of talk us through where we're at with various transfers. I think the one I'm going to start with is the one that's kind of strange one, and that's Christian Eriksen. It seemed almost inevitable that we would be re-signing him this summer, to the point that people weren't even reporting it as rumour. They were kind of like, yeah, Eriksen back to Tottenham. You know, that's done. That's signed, sealed, delivered. There's no way that's not going to happen. Great relationship with Conte. Gives Conte that variation in his system that he likes to have with a squad option. And it all just made so much perfect sense that all of us just kind of went, oh, okay, yeah, great. Can't wait for him to be back. And then about 2 weeks ago, Alistair Gold of Football London broke the kind of story of, actually, no, Tottenham spoke to him, but have not followed up on it. It's like, no, not. They've moved on to other targets. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of a little bit bemused by that. Now, it could be sentimentality, because obviously after what happened, I just want to, give the guy a hug all the time and hope he's okay. But why do you think that perhaps we looked at that and decided against? Do you think that we've got someone else in a similar position, perhaps younger, an iron in the fire, or do you just think that they've prioritised other positions?
Probably a bit of both. I mean, that's generally how things work, isn't it? Anyway, there's always two sides to every story. So Spurs might have been looking at him thinking, cheap option, knows the club, knows the manager, will fit into a system, that type of thing. But we're also looking for a younger player, somebody that's capable of doing X, Y, Z. I also think from Eriksen's side of things, let's not forget, he didn't want to be at Spurs anymore.
No, I know.
He wanted to go try something. He wanted to try something different, which, fair enough, he served as well for about 6 seasons or whatever. But yeah, he wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
He has done that. Does he want to come back to us? People sort of suggesting he does because he likes London and one thing and another. But I think if you're a free agent, this is probably his last big paycheck he's going to get. I'm not saying that's his only incentive right now, but if somebody like Man United want you, and there's a new manager there, and he's telling you, sweet somethings in your ear, saying you're going to be playing every match, kind of thing. Conte is not going to offer him that because, as you say, he's going to switch his system depending on the opposition, whether he needs a creative midfielder in there or if he wants to play. You suggested earlier, 3 sort of defensive midfielders, whatever. It's not going to be put on a plate for Eriksen. He's not going to have his like at Brentford, for example, played every game. So there's 2 sides to every story. I mean, he might also have basically suggested that to Spurs, that unless they're prepared to offer him, certainties over his sort of playing situation, how many minutes he's going to get a season, that type of thing, then he'd rather look elsewhere, because everything I've read on the internet suggests he's all about playing for Denmark at the World Cup.
Well, of course, of course. I mean, that's similar to, Gareth Bale, who's now over in America with the LAFC, I think it is. I'm not sure which one it is. Not Galaxy, it's the other one. I'm going to get shot by one of our listeners now for that. The Johnny Stark, he's a fan, and I've just totally forgotten the name of the team. It is LAFC, isn't it?
It's something like that. It's not LA Galaxy. It's the other team.
It's not the Galaxy. It's the better one. There you go, Johnny. Make you feel better. With the Eriksen one, I think it is a real kind of strange one, because it felt, by all the reporting and everything, it was done. So it just kind of felt odd that all of a sudden it was like, actually, no, Tottenham aren't doing that. And it was like, oh, wow, okay, crap. I mean, it was so nailed on. I was just kind of waiting for it to be announced, not even a if or when. So that aside then, the other big rumour at the moment is Richarlison from Everton. I've been very conflicted on this, because he's not a player I would pick out as someone I particularly like. That's not really having a pop at him footballing wise. Clearly a very gifted footballer, contributes both assists and goals for Everton consistently, and did for Watford before moving to Everton for like 50 million, I think. the thing with him that kind of annoys me is he spends most of the game on the ground. Injury record not great. But yeah, I also remember Romero basically snapping him in half and posting a social media photo of the incident. So not quite sure how training's going to be between those two. But yeah, that appears to be the one that we've gone for. It appears to be the player that Conte wants because he can play both 9 and wide. So he can play in the Harry Kane position or he can play covering Sonny as well. What are your thoughts on Richarlison and us potentially signing him?
If you'd have put this to me 2 months ago, I'd have laughed at it.
Yeah.
There is actually some truth to this rumor. Parati is a big fan, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. We're not going to get somebody to play second fiddle to Kane. You need somebody that can play up front on his own, but also out wide, and that squad rotation, versatility, that type of thing. And he's a player that fits the mold. But I'll be honest, that I don't like him. Don't get me wrong. If he joins and he's banging in the goals and he's on our team and he's making other fans go mad on social media, then we'll probably love him. But he's not. I don't know. There's just something about him that makes you think.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
How good is he? How quality is he? And how much of it's just all sort of theatrics and
I think the
off the field kind of. I don't know.
The thing with it appears to be is that he can cover the 2 positions, so we are looking at him because of that. And we also, there were rumours everywhere that we were looking at Gabriel Jesus, who of course is now joining Arsenal. Arsenal fans like to say he's picked them over us, and that's fine, but by all credible reporting, we weren't actually in for him. And I kind of looked at that and thought, well, that doesn't make a great deal of sense to me, because he is the definition of what we're looking for, someone who can play where Kane plays and also can cover the wide channels. But again, based on what I'm reading, he very much wants to play as a forward now. He doesn't want to be doing that out wide. He wants to be starting every game, and we're not going to be guaranteeing him that, which, it could have been an initial conversation. This is what we got in mind. Him saying, this is what I got in mind, and us saying, thank you very much. Enjoy your time at Arsenal. So I think that was where that went. I also thought about the Leeds winger Rafinha, and we've definitely got an interest there. But Rafinha is very much a wide forward, he couldn't cover Kane really. So again, I think we're looking to sign Richarlison, so we're signing 1 player to cover 2. Rather than potentially signing Rafinha and also still then looking for a striker as well. So it's kind of like sign 1 for 50 odd million rather than signing 2 for like 100 million, I think is the plan. I think that's where we are with it anyway. But Rafinha is one we have definitely been looking at. We've not put an offer in or anything for him, but again, Arsenal very much in for him. Just very quickly on Arsenal, it makes me laugh about this on a regular basis. They always seem to sign strikers and forwards and attacking players, and yet their issues never attack. I don't get that club. Like, I look at them and I think you are building a decent defence away from having a good side. So why is it you're spending all your money? They just got that young striker who's come through their academy, Nikita. Just started scoring the back end of last season, signed him up to a new 5-year deal. Now you're signing a striker ahead of him. It's like, okay, you got some incredibly talented young players there as wide forwards like Saka, etc., and you're about to spend 60 odd million on another one. But in defence, you've got a guy coming back on loan from France. You got Ben White, who was in and out and don't really think he hit the heights they were expecting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not my place. I don't really care, but it's just kind of a strange one. I don't get. I mean, it does remind me a little bit of Tottenham years ago trying to catch Arsenal up, just like, buy a striker, that'll do it. And yet we conceded 10 goals a game. It was mental. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, we certainly didn't have the issue we have now with one outstanding striker and sort of no backup. Back in those days, it was sort of Berbatov, Keane.
Yeah.
You probably had Defoe, Mido. There was just about 4 or 5 that we always were fighting to get in there.
Yeah, we always had 4, picking 2 from the 4. We had Crouch, Pavlyuchenko, Darren Bent at one point. Although Harry Redknapp's wife could outscore him apparently, so that didn't last very long. Rumours wise, like I said, the Richarlison one is the key one. That's the one that people are really amping up. And one of the things I think, the reason why I think that rumour is really kicking into gear this week is because Everton have got a potential financial fair play issue coming up. So if they were to sell someone to balance the books, that person would need to be sold by the 1st of July, which is this Friday. So if we are going to make an offer, if we're going to go in, then yeah, it's why I think this week eyes are on that deal as opposed to anything. It's also worth pointing out Chelsea are in for him as well. A number of places are reporting that Chelsea have made an offer, which is a player plus cash. So I don't know. There is also a report today which made me laugh from a proper journalist, an actual real journalist, not a sporting one, who just so happened to be at dinner last night and saw Bill Kenwright of Everton sat having dinner with Daniel Levy. And he decided to tweet that out there, sending people into a meltdown. Which made me laugh. Trying to look up who it was now. It was a proper journalist though. Here we go. John Sopel. He says, if Richarlison does go to Tottenham, suspect history will show the agreement was reached last night, as Bill Kenwright and Daniel Levy were having dinner together in Scott's in London. I was at the table next to them.
Fancy.
Yeah,
fancy.
Very fancy.
I guess my issue with the Richarlison one is, in my mind, there's a more obvious signing which we should be making, and I've been, arguing this case for probably 5 years.
Okay.
Which is Wilfried Zaha.
Yeah, Wilfried Zaha.
He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think Palace have finally sort of said, right, you can go.
Yeah.
Homegrown. He's played as that wide forward or a centre forward before. I mean, let's be honest. I think even Conte could probably persuade him to play wing back if you made him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think promising him Champions League and things like that, and play way that type of thing. He'd fit into different roles in our team, and 1 year left, it'd be cheaper than Richarlison, and as I said before, he's another one for the homegrown quota. So I don't know. Would it surprise you if something came out of the blue and Zaha turned up at the training ground?
It wouldn't surprise me if something came out of the blue. One of the things that is happening at Tottenham now, which is very different than the last 4 or 5 years, is they are working a hell of a lot better behind the scenes. And by that, I mean, if anyone thinks back to last summer for a moment, and the manager merry-go-round, every time the club spoke to any agent of any manager, somehow it was in the press within hours. Like, even if the club were just like, oh, let's have a conversation with him, he's put his CV in, let's be polite and have a chat with him, within hours, it was like Tottenham meet with this coach, and fans online went mental. It was awful, and Tottenham were just a shambles, to be blunt, with everything they did in the public domain. They can't do that. You can't do that with signing players because, of course, agents want that to happen. Agents want to put stuff out in the public domain because they want to increase the offer for their client. Paratici works in a very kind of different way in terms of he will discuss deals with multiple targets at once. So that way, if there are press stories everywhere, it's like a smokescreen he naturally creates. You have no idea what Tottenham are actually really doing or what the plan is. And because people know that now, the level of reporting on Tottenham rumours is actually dropping. You'll see at the start of this window, for example, we were linked to 10 players a day, like different players. But now, if you actually go hunting for Tottenham rumours, there aren't many. The ones we've just mentioned, and that's it. It's a lot of defender names. But if you read the articles, they're all just conjecture from journalists saying, oh, these are the ones we think Tottenham might like. The only one which was clear was Bastoni at Inter Milan. Bastoni likes, he grew up at Inter, wants to stay at Inter, and they want to keep him, and they're going to sell Skriniar instead. So that was, we went for him, had the conversation, and that's when we've moved on. So it's, like I said, it's kind of funny, really, that it's the way we operate now, when in the past we have been so out there, so everything on display. So it wouldn't surprise me, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if a number of clubs aren't keeping Zaha's number to one side. With, like you say, with a year left on his contract, homegrown, you never know. And with Tottenham, of course, a lot of it's going to depend on outgoings. Because if you look at our squad at the moment, we've made 3 signings, but we've not actually shifted anyone other than Cameron Carter-Vickers, who wasn't really in the first team squad anyway. We need to make sales to make space. The obvious one that's out there is Steven Bergwijn to Ajax. A fee in the region of 25 million plus add-ons appears to be done. Ajax don't want to complete the deal until after the 1st of July. Again, it's the financial reporting year thing, so keep an eye out for that one. I think after the 1st of July we might see that go through rapidly. Harry Winks has been linked with about 4 different clubs. Funnily enough, the club that seems to be the highest link with him is Everton. Whether that will play any sort of part in any Richarlison negotiations, I don't know. But that's, Harry Winks definitely going to be moving on. One of the players I was a little bit sad that we are looking to move on and we are actively trying to sell is Sergio Reguilon. What's your thoughts on Reggie?
Well, we spoke earlier about that left wing back position,
yeah,
and we didn't have an awful lot of joy down there.
No.
To be fair to Reguilon, he said at the start of the season when Conte came in, he said, "I've never played left wing back. It's going to be new for me." But he's got all the attributes that make you think, well, he should be spot on. He's fast, he can get forward, he can get back, he's good at defending. But no, he always said that, what he isn't so good at is the crossing side of things. And, how many times did we see he's had almost like a one-on-one with the keeper, and he just blast it straight into the stands.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if the composure's there or what the problem was there, but I think the reason, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why he's been linked away is A, he didn't really fit that left wing back position so well. It certainly didn't come to him naturally, but B, that we only have to start paying back some of the money to Real Madrid this summer.
Basically, the way we did the deal was Real Madrid had a buyback clause which expired last year. The buyback clause, part of that negotiation, was our instalments for the transfer fee wouldn't begin until this summer. It's not massively a factor. A lot of people have pointed it out as a big factor, but it's already in our accounting, so it's not like it's a case of an additional cost that we've now got. It's one that's already accounted for. What I would say is, of course that'll motivate the club, because if they've already accounted for 30-something million going out, and they can not have that, then that's great. That's kind of ideal for them. And then they'll move on. Heavily linked with a move back to Spain, obviously. The club that have shown the biggest interest so far is actually Barcelona, which is interesting for a Real Madrid academy product. I don't know how he'd feel about that. But there's a number of teams there. Another player who's linked heavily with moving back to Spain is Emerson Royale. Emerson Royale started to become a bit of a cult figure for Tottenham fans with his wonderful video montages after every game last season. And he did definitely improve. There's no two ways about it. He did definitely improve. But again, if you're looking at squad building, homegrown quota, etc., we are linked heavily with Jed Spence coming from Middlesbrough. And I'm led to believe that interest is genuine, and it's just a case of agreeing the fee and the structure with Middlesbrough. Now the player is ready to join, then we do need to let someone go from the right side. So that's either Matt Doherty or Emerson Royale. Matt Doherty, remember, is classed as homegrown. Even though he's a Republic of Ireland international, he came through the Wolves Academy. So he is classed as a homegrown player for both Premier League and the European Champions League. So Jed Spence would also meet that. And Atletico Madrid are very keen on Emerson Royale. So that's another one that looks like he's on his way. What's your thoughts? Because, I mean, me and you both looked at Emerson Royale for some time. I was more patient. I was willing to give him more time. But I think we both reached a point last season where we were like, no, it's not working. But I did think towards the end, again, when it was one game a week, he looked a lot better. What's your thoughts on him departing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to get rid of him. What beat around the bush? He started the season terrible. He ended the season average. He's not suited to a right wing back role. I know, you said Conte's unapologetic that if he were to win something this season, that might be him done. He might leave. So you got to think long term as well. You might get a new manager that just wants to play four at the back, and maybe Royal would fit that system better. But you stick to your guns. You go with what your current manager wants. He doesn't want somebody like a defensive minded Royal. So. And you also mentioned it that Atletico Madrid want him. You can imagine him doing really well over there. Playing for a team like Atletico Madrid that will be quite defensive, sort of, and he'll be quite rigid in that back four kind of thing, and he'll be a lot more comfortable in that position. So
I agree.
If we can get our money back for him, then do it.
Yeah, I agree. The thing at the moment on that appears to be obviously we want to sell. Atletico Madrid want to loan with an option. It's the difference between the buying power of the Premier League and Spain and other leagues, to be honest with you, whereas we look to buy because of the financial position we're in. Other leagues are looking to do, horse trading as best they can, which is fair enough. One of the other ones which is quite interesting is Joe Rodon. Me and you have talked about Rodon a lot. Because you want to see him get games, stay with the club. I've been of the opinion, if he was good enough, he would have got games under Jose. He would have got games under Nuno. He would have got games under Conte. But what is interesting is apparently Conte really likes him. Conte was dead impressed with his dedication and training, dead impressed with his work ethic, felt that he was ready and able to come into the side because of his work fitness-wise. And because of the World Cup coming up and Tottenham not being able to guarantee him first-team football, there is the rumour that we're going to hit the one-year extension on his contract and look to give him a season's loan in the Premier League. Which is funny, because it was only a week ago you said the same thing to me as what we should do. Apparently, that's exactly what we're looking to do right now. Yeah,
because if there's one thing that he's missing from his game, it's experience in the Premier League. He plays for Wales week in, week out. Slight bias or whatever, but Gareth Bale came out and said he was part of Tottenham training when he saw Rodon there, and he was like, he was as good, if not better, than some of the players that were ahead of him. He should have been getting games. He wasn't. But no, I mean, I think that was the only thing that's held him back by previous managers. We don't see training day in, day out. We don't know what he's like off the field kind of thing. But generally, if you had an option to play Eric Dyer, who's what, 27, 28,
Yeah.
ex-England international, arguably should be England international. You've got Romero, who's obviously Italian Serie A player of the season or whatever, young defender of the year.
Yeah.
Ben Davies, obviously experienced Premier League, Welsh international.
Yeah.
These guys are always going to be ahead of some young guy that's come from sort of Swansea in the Championship. So it's just, it's not, I wouldn't say it's unfair, it's just unfortunate.
It's the way it is.
That these guys are ahead of him. The only way that he can beat that is go out and learn, prove your worth to a team, maybe a team that's been promoted from the Championship this season. Get a full season, 38 Premier League games under your belt. Come back to Spurs and say, look, what else do you want from me?
Yeah.
If not, if it's still not good enough, we're just selling in a season's time. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Like you said, the club would like Premier League loan for him where he's going to start every week. But the team that have shown the highest interest in him so far and are ready to make a move to loan him is apparently Roma, Jose Mourinho. I don't think... I don't know. It's one of those things where if Roma offer a decent loan fee, we'll go, oh, in that case, you can head there. I'd obviously prefer him to play in the Premier League week in, week out. But for a defender, in Italy, defending is an art form. The coaching and everything around defending in Italy is a kind of... to them, it's better than goals. It's what they live for. So as a defender, it's not the worst thing in the world if that was his only option. I would prefer a Premier League loan, though.
No.
Yeah, for me, anyway. Are there any other rumours or anything you've heard at the moment, or any you wanted to go through before we jump into the questions on our Facebook page and stuff?
Just players out. I think the one that everyone's keen to see the back of, Undon Bailey, we've not mentioned him yet.
No, sadly, the reason why I've not mentioned him is because there's no interest. There's zero. No one's in for him. No one's even making a loan offer right now. Of course, that could be brinkmanship. It could be a case of everybody knows he's available. Everyone knows that we don't want him. And he's burnt his bridges with the fans, really. So it could be a case of, as the window gets late, one or two teams try and Daniel Levy us with a low ball offer. Can't say I blame them. To be honest with you, it's what anyone sensibly would do. But as of right now, he's actively looking for a new club and can't find one. We are actively looking to find him a new club and can't find one. So, but that can change. Paratici is managing to keep things more in-house now. You never know. But he definitely wants to move him on. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The player doesn't want to be back with us, and we don't want him.
No, and then Lo Celso as well. The one that I've seen, and you can clarify whether it's truth in this. Villarreal want him. We want a Villarreal player, Pau Torres.
Yeah.
Any truth in sort of a swap deal there?
I don't know about a swap, but there's definitely truth in the fact that Pau Torres is on our list of left-sided central defenders. We wanted to sign him last summer, and he basically had a deal agreed, but he didn't want to join. He wanted to play the Champions League with his home club, which is fair enough. He is available this summer. They are willing to sell this summer, so again, there is an option there. They do want the Chelsea. Financially, they can't afford the fee we're asking for, and a couple of other La Liga clubs are now circling as well. What I would say is, I think Lo Celso leaves a lot easier than Ndombele. How that happens or what structure is still up in the air at the moment. And I think the possible pulls could be the fact that we are looking at this left-sided central defender. There is some thinking within the club that Pau Torres isn't strong enough for the Premier League, isn't physically strong enough. I don't know enough about him, to be fair. I really don't. So, but that is what I heard, good sir.
Very good.
But yeah, okay, so with all that being said, let's head across to social media and see what people got to say there.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Oh, I've missed that. Mate, I get to ask you what I asked Matt. Do you want to start on Instagram or go to Facebook?
Facebook.
Facebook it is. Facebook, we open with Michael Jasper Annis, who in response, basically we put a post out saying, do you want a podcast? And if you do, let us know what you want to hear. And Michael says, brilliant. Also, a quick note about our youngsters currently with the national teams would be great, as they seem big potential players for the future. Yeah, well, I've mentioned that off the start. Scarlett and Devine, England under 19s, look out for them. Martin Benham says, I'll be very interested in what you and Matt, Matt's not here, sorry, especially what you think, especially as some potential transfers split the fan base, i.e. Richarlison. Despite our early momentum, we seem to have stalled with regards to signings. I think, Martin, early momentum caught us all off guard, to be honest with you. Dan said it earlier on, we don't make signings before July. You know, it's absolute bonkers that we've already done 3 signings, and I don't necessarily think we've stalled. I think we nailed the ones that we had ready, and now we've moved on to the more trickier targets in the negotiations, because even if the Richarlison deal is the one we're going for now, you know, that's not a Everton selling to another Premier League team. You know, there's a lot more to that, I think, rather than speaking to free agents, etc. So, yes. Matthew Fleming says, I'd love to hear from you both. Let us know what you've been up to in the summer. How do you feel your time without football? Question-wise, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the done deals. Okay, well, we've done that. Dan, what do you do with your summer away from football?
Bit of dog walking, as I said earlier. I got don't know, a bit of Wimbledon. Wimbledon's on now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Wimbledon's all right. I've been watching the cricket. I enjoy that. But generally, I get bored. And work a lot. I do that, but then I do that anyway. Michael Joseph says, interested what you think about Richarlison. To me, he's a diver and an embellisher. Oh, embellisher, that's a great term. Maybe Conte can sort that out. I think we've already touched on it, Michael, to be honest. Me and Dan, we're both kind of like, not one we'd pick. But if he signs for us and he contributes and he's playing well, then, you know, he's going to get supported. You put on a Tottenham shirt, you're going to get my support unless you do something to, you know, disregard it. Barry Fowle says, would be great to get your take on things. I think a piece on how the business of transfers work, with agents and clubs tying up profiles and fees by leaking lies to the press. Oh, wow, Barry. It's going to be a very strange season this year, so hitting the ground running and getting off to a flyer is really important. Getting business done early will be key. When do you think the rest of the ins will be done by? It's difficult. You mentioned there about doing a piece on more ins and outs of how transfers work. I'm actually trying at the moment to talk to an actual registered intermediary agent, an FA registered agent, to come on and do a Q&A. If I can get that done, then hopefully it can give people more of an insight, and that'd be fun. I don't think... I mean, I can talk to what I know, but I can't answer every question. Your point at the end about when do you think we'll get the business wrapped up? I mean, as soon as possible. But the thing that a lot of people forget, and I'm not saying this is you, Barry, it just... People think of the computer games, you know, here's all this money, give me that player, and the player is in your squad the next day. There's a lot more to it when it's real people. You know, Tottenham might well have a player lined up right now, everything's agreed and done. The guy's house hunting, you know, he's talking to his family about moving. He's having a bit of a think before he commits. You know, there's so many factors to all of this. I know a couple of years ago we were linked with a player and everyone kind of laughed about it. Like, oh, Tottenham tried to sign that guy, yeah, whatever. No one believes it. Well, the reality was we did, but the guy didn't want to move to London because he had a newborn, and so he stayed where he was. And just so there are so many more factors to it, and human factors that people just disregard. They think of it, I want that guy, here's the money, give him to me, and that's how football works. No, there's a lot more to it. So, getting it done, we are aiming to get it all done as soon as possible. Conte wants to take the vast majority on his pre-season with him because he deems pre-season essential to the way he wants to play. It's hilarious. I mean, every manager's the same. I mean, Mauricio Pochettino must be looking at us making 3 signings before pre-season and just rolling his eyes. Like, what the hell? I had to watch them arrive on the season had already started. I think we're trying to do our best to get them done. And how many more, I think, is a great question to ask, because I think there's still 4 more to come in, personally. Stefan Cruz Alvarez, also known as Step In Stefan, says, couple of great signings early doors, and now we're working on stuff behind the scenes. Richarlison I desperately don't want. It's quite funny. Question, do we try and get proven Premier League talent in, or go abroad and hope they hit the ground running like Kudu and Bentancur? What do you think, Dan? Polynesian Dan? To Step In Stefan? Everyone's got a nickname on this show.
Completely agree. Get the Premier League players in if you can. They come with a premium, but
yeah.
One thing we've not discussed here is there's an awful lot of players whose contracts are running out that are Premier League proven. They might even be sort of England internationals, that type of thing, with a year left on the contracts. And it means that suddenly these players that would previously be way out of our budget become available to us. Yeah. We got this 150 mil, so maybe we can shop in Waitrose rather than Aldi.
Nice analogy, mate. I like that. Yes, right. Actually, we have got that 150 mil, and I did. Hang on, I did this. I'd forgotten I did that. Yeah. Yes, you're right. You're right. We do have that. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think aim for Premier League proven because the league is so different. Kulusevski and Bentancur coming in and hitting the ground running has been phenomenal. And they're like the only 2 signings I can think have done that in so long. You almost don't want to chance your arm with it again. John Hotspur says, if Levy follows through with the net investment, if he follows through the net investment of over 150 million, i.e. above reinvestment of player sales, would you believe that ENIC have moved towards a trophy-winning phase of their grand plan, or have they been abducted and replaced by aliens? Yes. I'm going with aliens. Sean Palmeter says, your thoughts on Richarlison, Dybala and other possible big signings putting that 150 million to good use? Whether City and Liverpool are untouchable, who knows, but if we have a chance of breaking the top 3 this year, if we get it right. I agree. Dybala's one we were linked with heavily because we were linked with him before. Apparently, from what I'm told, Conte does not rate him. So we have had 0 interest in this window in him. I thought he'd suit us, to be honest with you, but nope, apparently 0 interest. James Campbell says, I will add my voice to the cacophony that is requesting a podcast. You're welcome, James. Here we are. Tom Perk says 100% I want a podcast. So yeah, here we are. Hey, Tom. Pete Thompson says, very interested in this. Would love to hear your take on the rumours, current signings, expected signings, and any news from the academy. I think I've covered that, Pete. The academy news is depressing, so I don't want to do it, really. I will say we've got 2 England youth internationals who are both leaving the club this summer, and the club needs to really address what's going on in the academy right now. We are losing 2 of the highest rated players in the game, both up to Manchester. One has already joined Man City, and one is choosing between offers between United and City. One's 15, one's 16. It's happening simply because these kids are going away on international duty with England, and they're talking to players at other clubs and finding out how much they earn as an academy player. Tottenham's wage structure in the academy is not Premier League level. It's just really not. It's laughable, actually. Brighton, Southampton, clubs like that are all paying academy players near double what Tottenham are paying theirs. There's loads of arguments about this. There's loads of debate about it. But if Tottenham continue with this structure, we are going to continue hemorrhaging fantastically talented players to other clubs. Yeah, it's not good. I didn't want to talk about that today. I was depressed. Moving on. Instagram, that'd cheer me up. The people on Instagram, Rock Me Amadeus says, do a podcast. I did it, my friend. There you go. Tia Go Costa says, yes, please do a podcast. There you go. We're here. Churso says, not really interested in transfer rumours. Oh, sorry. But interested to hear your thoughts on the new signings. There we go. We did that. She also says, miss you guys. Well, I'm here. Matt's not. But Dan's here. Say hello, Dan. Say hello. Say, be nice for once.
What was the person's name?
Churso. Churso.
Churso.
Yeah.
Hi, Churso.
Yeah. Got like an animated kind of, like a cartoon style avatar, which is kind of cute. Oh, wait a minute. I've got some good news, mate. So Jake Bennett says, yes, definitely any content on deals done, potential deals, rumours, etc. would be good. We've done that, Jake. Hope you enjoyed. But we actually have a couple of comments now from people who have their own theme tune. So let's open up with this guy.
Thundering down from on high, it's a comment from Mountain Man.
Mountain Man says, who is most likely to leave and for how much? Missing the podcast, enjoy your summer. Thank you for saying lovely things and missing the podcast. Who is most likely to leave and for how much? Right now, Steven Bergwijn is most likely to leave, and I think 25 million. There you go. I think that answers that. Finally, we have a comment from this man.
Now it's time for a comment from Island Brother.
Play this right to the end. I love this. Absolutely dancing in my seat. Island Brother, how you doing, my friend? He says, hell yeah to the podcast. Any of Sam's insider info on either Eriksen or any departing players, please and thanks. I think we've covered all of that. Wow. We're efficient. So, yeah. We are efficient today, my friend. So there we go.
We know what the fans want.
We know. I tried to keep it to an hour. We're at an hour 20 roughly. So we need to wrap this up. Me and you could probably do another show on this. We'll consider it. We will consider it. See, why don't we wait and see what people, if they like this or not, see what people say. If everyone kind of hates it and has a go at us, then maybe we'll just leave it until Matt's back.
Yeah, everyone wants Matt back. There'll be campaigns outside 10 Downing Street.
Stats. Well, there's definitely going to be campaigns there. I know that. But, mate, thank you so much for joining me today. This was fun. Love chatting to you about transfers and squad building. I think we managed to cover everything, even if we didn't get to the detail we wanted. But a big thank you to you. Big thank you to everybody for joining us and listening. The show will be back real soon. Keep an eye on our Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that. Once we've got all the dates lined up, we will tell you when we're back. The show will try and remain on Thursdays because obviously Champions League nights are back for Wednesdays, maybe Tuesdays. But yeah, everyone, you all take care. Say goodbye to the people, Polynesian Dan.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.